If you are somebody who's sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're frustrated, you're angry, or you're feeling like there has got to be more to this life than what I am currently living, then I want you to stay tuned and listen up because I may have some information for you. My name is Asia. I'm a project manager and I am in marketing. However, what I'm learning now is that things always come full circle. But before I go into all that, let's jump into these four things that I want to tell you about. And this is kind of how I got to this journey of ascension to a greater learning, greater higher power, like freedom and the life that you really want to live by doing these four things. First thing is everything in life happens to you, right? So when you're in that mode, we call that the victim mode because things are happening to you. Like you have no, what's the word? You have no regard of everything just keeps seeming like it's always happening. Why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep getting these jobs? I keep getting, dating these men. I keep having these problems at work. Why does this keep happening to me? I keep getting tickets and stuff. And so that is the quote unquote victim mentality because it essentially means that everything is happening to you, but you are not contributing to any of it, which from your perspective, that's the case. However, it may not quite be that way, right? Because we all have decisions. We all have things within us that we get to choose, right? If you are an adult and you wake up every day and you get to choose to go to work, to stay in and sleep in, to go jogging, to go run a marathon, or to stay and watch TV all day, these are your choices, right? So these are the things that we have to think about. And also our mindset. What are we thinking about in our mind? And I had that same mentality too. I was like, oh, it's always happening, same thing every day. And I started to get frustrated. I started to get angry and frustrated. And I started to essentially kind of like lash out at people. And then it was when I lashed out at somebody. And I call it lashing out. They may not have not taken it that way, but in my mind, I was like, Asia, why are you doing that? Why did you do that to that person? They had nothing to do with anything that you were frustrated about. And it triggered me. And so when you have triggers are usually internal things that happen internally, which cause you to be upset or you to get angry or you to get frustrated about something. However, it didn't happen to anybody else. Nobody else was triggered, but you were triggered, or they triggered you because they knew how to push your buttons. But your buttons are only yours. So, how did they push them? You have to figure out what it is that internally is going on that keeps pushing those buttons, right? So today is Sunday. Today is the August the 18th, which is tomorrow is going to be the 19th. It's going to be a full moon. When we talk about full moons, we used to say that, during a full moon, that's when the werewolf comes out, which is essentially kind of true. But the interesting thing is the werewolf is not. The werewolf is in you. And so every time they trigger you and they push that button, you turn into that werewolf. So how do you fix that part? That's the part that we really have to work at. Because when emotions are high, intelligence is low. That means that whatever is triggering you, you have to figure out how to turn it off because during this full moon portal, which is 2 days on the front and 2 days on the back. So essentially today is Sunday, which means it started yesterday morning and then it won't end until probably Wednesday going into Thursday because tomorrow is the actual open of the full moon. So it's 2 days on the front, 2 days on the back. So you have a 5-day window. In that regard, how are you going to calm down your inner werewolf so that things are not happening to you, right? Second thing we have is when you move from the phase of things are happening to you and you own the fact that, hey, these are my thoughts, these are my feelings, these are my actions and my emotions. How do I fix these things? When I start to really think about why am I triggered? Did something happen to me in my childhood that has me snapping at somebody because that takes me back to that place when I was younger, when I did this and they did that, or maybe somebody left me and I felt abandoned. And so anytime somebody leaves, I'm like, okay, fine, just leave. And I get really upset with them because I felt that like I was that little girl that was abandoned when I was younger. There are a lot of things that people go through, and we think that we've gotten over things. However, that may not be the case. We may have just compartmentalized them and put them underneath, kind of like underneath the rock, if you will. But sometimes those things kind of come right back up to the surface, and then we have to deal with them. So the next thing is with me. So instead of things happening to you, and once you recognize that, hey, I'm not the victim, right? These things are happening, but they're not necessarily happening to me because I do have a choice. And so the next step is that things are happening with me. And with me means that if I have goals and I have desires and I have dreams, these are the things that I want to happen in my life, that maybe I connect to something else, something outside of me to be able to achieve those things. So if I'm talking about God or source or something else outside of me, then I'm having to connect with something else. So with me means that I still have these desires. These are my goals. These are my desires. And so with your help, I can achieve these things. So now it's not that I'm necessarily a victim anymore, but I'm moving towards that. And I'm like, okay, I can own the fact that these are my things, but how do I fix these? Okay, so I'm going to work with you to help me fix these things that are going on within my life, so that I'm not necessarily always thinking it's happening to me, because I am responsible for my own actions and I can get out of the things that I'm putting myself into. The next thing is, once I've kind of understood that part and things are happening with me, things are starting to move, right? Things are starting to move in different ways that they didn't move before, right? Because now I'm starting to see things. Now I'm starting to hear things. Now I'm starting to be more aware of things that are happening. And so as these shifts change, your mindset changes, your body starts to change, and you start to see things a little differently. So now your awareness is heightened and you are able to experience things in a different light now. So that's when you can move into things are for you, like things are happening for you now. So if I put out into the universe and I say, hey, I would like a better, I would like a better job. I would like to travel more. I want these things to just come into my atmosphere that maybe they weren't coming before. Because I've moved from the to me and the with me, and things are happening for me. So now that things are happening for me, I'm kind of released. I've released the strengths, the strongholds that I had on it, right? Because I had restraints in the beginning, because I was thinking things were happening to me. So I always had my walls up. But now that my walls have kind of come down and I know that things can happen for me, then because they're happening for me, I'm able to release more and allow things to come in, right? Like you can't give and receive when your hand is like this, right? So now that it's open, now that I'm letting things come to me in that regard, things can happen for me. But in that for you, that does not necessarily mean that it's all roses and sunshine and flowers. That for you means that the things that are coming your way are intended for you to become a better person, become more of who you are meant to be in that regard. But that does not mean that it comes easily. It may come in a different way than what you were expecting, but it all comes together and it's all connected. So you have to connect the dots backwards. And then once you've done that and you've connected the dots and you start to see the things that are coming to you, and just learning to receive them in whichever manner that they come, whether they're not good or bad. In fact, they're usually neutral, and because they may come off as they're negative to you because you're not in a space to really receive it that way, it may come off as a little harsh, right? It may come off as something that's just very so out of the blue. It's very hard to deal with, hard to articulate, hard to fathom, like, why is this happening? But as things happen for you, it's just making space. It's expanding your capacity, expanding your realm. What do I mean by that? So 2 months ago, my dog died. He was 16 years old. I've had him for a very, very long time. And I was like, why is this happening? I was like, he was a very large part of my life, right? 16 years is a very long time. However, in releasing of that, I realized that that is now expanding my container, because that is 16 years of my life that has now gone. And so what is coming in replace of that, that I maybe needed to make space for, make room for, because maybe the balance of that with him would have been too much for me to bear in the realm that I'm in the state that I'm in. So every time you go through little things, these are just tests, right? These are just little tests along the way. Every day is a test, and you get to figure out whether you quote unquote kind of passed or failed. And so most of the time, we're just living life, but we have to realize that we've never done this before, at least not in our conscious mind, right? We've never physically had this particular life before. So as you go through it, there are going to be some snags, there are going to be some hiccups, there are going to be some pulls. You are still dealing with your flesh and then your subconscious. So your subconscious has completely different thoughts, feelings, and emotions than your physical body, right? And your physical body is telling you one thing, but your spiritual mind is saying something else. So it's always a constant, I don't want to call it a battle, but it's always something that you have to be mindful of. And you have to always make sure that you are staying connected within yourself to kind of move forward with that mindset. Like, always try to be in alignment, because when you are in full alignment, that's when things just flow for you. That's when things just come to you. And that's the fourth one I want to talk about, is the through me. And so as we've moved from the victim to the with me to the for me, the absolute freedom would be that it happens through you. And that means that you just become the vessel at that point. You are the vessel, and it comes through you. And so you've let go of your ego now, because the ego is what creates that back and forth, right? That frustration, because it's like, that's your inner child is like, no, wait, this is mine, it's mine, it's mine. However, remember, everything in this life, in this realm, is rented, right? We can't take any of this with us. 100 years from now, most of these people, 100 years from now, won't even know I existed, right? They won't even know you existed. Somebody's gonna be in this house that I'm in. Somebody's gonna be driving the car that I drove. If they're even cars, right? 100 years from now, we don't even know what the technology looks like then, right? But this space will be shared by somebody else, right? This earth will be shared by somebody else. And so life is essentially just a library, right? You can rent out or check out anything that you want here, but at the end, it has got to go back, because you got to go back. You can't even keep the body that you're in. So I hope this resonates with you. I hope you are able to get some pieces, some nuggets, some wisdom from what I'm saying to you. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you want to hear more things like this, ask me questions, put them in the comments, just let me know, and I will continue to make videos like this. And I will chat with you soon. Okay, bye.